Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien versus Predator Galaxy YouTube channel. This is regular host Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks,
And this is Adam Zeller, aka Ridgetop.
and we're here today with a motion tracker video to talk about some fucking pretty exciting stuff that's come out over the last 2 days. What do we got, Zeller?
All I can say is we eating good, or at least we will be, apparently. So there's a new interview with 20th
Well,
Century.
if it's good, if the end result's good,
Yeah, well,
we're
we
eating a lot. The quality of this upcoming feast is
yeah, we'll
still
see.
to be.
But there's more in the pipeline than I think we've ever seen ever. Uh,
Mm,
so there was a recent interview. What was a Hollywood Reporter with
yeah.
20th Century Studios head Steve Asbell, who talked a bit about their future plans over at 20th Century Studios for Alien Predator, Alien versus Predator. Um, and he revealed that not only are we getting a new Predator movie by Dan Trachtenberg next year, we are getting two new Predator movies by Dan Trachtenberg
Okay. Am I
next year.
scrolling down to that then?
No, we can just read it. You just want to read it? Go for it.
Okay. So this is the article I posted a couple of days ago on the website. We don't need to read through my notes for it, but talking about the Romulus sequel, Mr. Aspel said, "We're working on a sequel idea now. We haven't quite closed our deal with Fede Alvarez, but we are going to, and he has an idea that we're working on. The two survivors, Rain and Andy, played by Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson, were real highlights of the film. And so I always think of it like, wow, where do people want to see them go next? We know there's going to be some aliens, we know there's going to be great horror set pieces, but I fell in love with both of them and I want to see what their story is." I think it's sad to say, but I feel like this is the least exciting of the announcements, of the information that's come out.
I
Uh,
don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, this is our first kind of confirmation from the studio that they're in negotiations, it seems like, with Fede about directly continuing the plot line of Romulus.
True.
So,
And they are, well, he is quite right. Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson were fantastic in Romulus, especially David Johnson. And she's got to fix Andy somehow. I I'm curious to see where they'll go with it. It is kind of enlightening, not enlightening. It is kind of interesting that he is specifically calling out just continuing those characters, which is and you know, which is kind of nice to hear that that's the focus. Although I genuinely struggle to think how they'll set anything up after that. How we're getting the aliens back? How we? I mean, that's always the worry with any future alien things is how contrived them continuing to run into the aliens always is. I mean, that's something you sort of complain about with the frequent reuse of Amanda Ripley at the minute. Well, at the minute's the wrong word to use there, isn't it? It was a while ago now.
yeah, we'll see how the potential reuse of Amanda Ripley goes this time around if that's what they're doing for Isolation 2.
But I was talking more about story wise of characters continuing to run into the aliens. Um,
Yeah, I mean, we do love to see characters continue their journey. I mean, that was great to see in Alien to Aliens to see how Ripley developed as a character between those two films, and even in the third film as well. But yeah, you do run the risk of it feeling a bit contrived, as you said, where they just keep finding themselves in situations with the aliens, and so it's always an interesting question. Do you make a new original film that's just a new story in this universe, or do we continue on with these characters? And I feel like audiences resonated with these two characters in particularly enough that I think we deserve to see where they're going. You know, the movie ended on kind of a I don't know about a cliffhanger, but just we don't know what's going to happen to them next. So
I think it ended as well as Alien ended, or as well as Aliens ended. I wouldn't call it a cliffhanger personally, but we do still have the fate of Andy to wonder about. Is she going to get him fixed? um, what's actually waiting for them at Yvarga. But yeah, it is just that alien inclusion that I wonder how they'll pull that off. But actually seeing Andy and Rain get what they wanted. That was the whole point of the alien Romulus, was to be able to leave the system and get to Yvarga. So actually getting to see the fruits of all that labor will be interesting. I hope it's not a shithole. I hope it was worth it all.
Well,
Um,
maybe it is nice. Maybe it's just been tainted.
mm, maybe Rook was experimenting on that colony
Well,
somehow.
that would be wild.
Well,
Well,
they're not a Wayland Yutani colony, are they? So they'd have even less loyalty to them.
did you read the new comic that just came out? Bit of a tangent here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The prelude to Alien Romulus was very
Um,
lackluster and
yeah.
inconsequential, I think. I was so disappointed because this is the first comic since probably Marvel took over that I actually went out and brought on release date. I was genuine. I really love Romulus. You know this. I'd like to think the audience knows this as well, but there are things I would have done different were I making it, but I love Alien Romulus in spite of the flaws and quotation marks. And I was genuinely excited to see this prequel comic, to see what had happened before the events of the film. And I was just so disappointed by the one shot. It was so short, so rushed, so I don't want to say like low key, like it's a bad thing, but it felt very restricted. You still didn't get this scope of this massive sprawling station. You only had a couple of characters. This security team was two people. The carnage was barely anything. It just it was a letdown.
Yeah.
It was Marvel's Alien being Marvel's Alien.
I don't think we're gonna do a review episode on that one, so that was our review right there. Not
Well, we
not
we
great.
might we can probably throw it into. I mean, we've still got not Blackout. We've still got Black, White, and Blood, and What If to talk about. So we'll just bang it on the end of one of those. Let's
Well,
do a
back to
proper.
the good news. I am a happy boy because this is well, I wouldn't say that. AVP has been mentioned here and there. It was mentioned by John Davis, wasn't it? Kind of after Prey. And
That
we've
was
had
ages ago, though. That
it was
was
2
what?
years ago when
No,
Yeah, John Davis was doing interview rounds after Prey.
Prey was 2018.
No, that was The Predator.
Oh,
You're more
yeah. Okay.
tired than I am, dog.
Okay. Just for record here, it's early in the morning for me. It's late at night for Adam. And you know what did it? Because I'm curious now. Continue to
Yeah,
talk. I'll
and
have a
you
look.
had, I believe Dan Trachtenberg was asked, like, do you feel like AVP still has potential as an idea? I
They,
think he
they have
said yes.
they have both Fede and Dan have talked about AVP. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and
But
from
it never amounts to much of anything, though.
well, it, I think there's a bit more weight in the head of 20th Century Studios saying he thinks we'll arrive there probably, So we'll see. I mean, I think it's been long enough. I think it's time for another AVP. So, but it's interesting what he said about it. Did you want to scroll to the quote for that one?
Sure. I mean, to be fair, this doesn't amount to that much either, but it's certainly interesting to hear Steve talking about it, given the weight he throws behind it. But do you want to read that one?
Sure. He says, it wouldn't be in the way you think. That's the thing. Not in the way that it will just be called Alien versus Predator or anything like the original movies. If we do this, they'll be organically created out of these two franchises that we've continued with characters that we fall in love with. And those characters will combine perhaps, but we haven't gotten to that point. And we're not just going to bang it out. So,
So that sounds to me kind of like it'll be whoever survives Badlands, whatever happens with Romulus 2 kind of thing.
I mean, wouldn't that mean Badlands would have to take place further in the future than
Well,
we
we
were
know it
led to
takes
believe?
well, we know it takes place in the future. Um, how far in the future we don't yet know. And even then, if it is in the future, there's still ways to keep them around. Cryo can still be a thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it would be I don't know, like, to me, if they were to do another AVP, I think it should just be this standalone thing. I do get a bit hesitant of, like, a Marvelization of this, of things feeling too interconnected. As much as I love AVP, I still feel like Alien and Predator should mostly be their own separate things. You know me, I like it when they sometimes show up in expanded media and stuff. But as far as like the big live action projects, I think AVP would work best as just a standalone thing. Like you use it as a reintroduction of the Colonial Marines or something like that. Um, but I don't know. What do you think, Aaron? Would you want to see a big build to this crossover event, or would you prefer it be more just its own thing?
I have never ever minded the idea of a shared continuity or big build up into things. Uh, I don't know if I've ever really talked about it, but like one of the back in my early days of fandom, one of the things I really enjoyed was that initial trilogy. That initial continuity between Earth Hive and Female War and Nightmare Asylum. I read them out of order there, but yeah, you know, I liked there being this ongoing arc. And I think the first book I actually ever read, I think I read the novel for War first before I ever read any of the AVP comics or the other AVP novels. And my introduction to it was already spinning off of something else that had existed, Berserker, because the characters in War came from one of the Aliens comics. So I have this experience of a shared universe in quotation marks um, in my background. So I've never really minded this idea. It's the same. It's the same as the whole thing about the prequels. We don't want an answer to this mystery. No, that's it's not where I come at it from. I want an answer. I just didn't like the answer we got, which I think is ultimately the big problem with the prequels. And when it comes to things like the shared universe, I don't think it's going to be so much oh, I didn't want a shared universe. It's going to be, is this final product actually good or not? That's where the real crux of it is. So if it was built on the back of whatever Alien or Predator films we get in the meantime, I don't mind as long as it's good, as long as the finished product is good. They don't need to be kept away from each other. I think there's this. I've seen a little bit of pessimism about it on the boards, which I'm kind of surprised by and a little bit disappointed by, um, because AVP is one of the few crossovers I genuinely think works. Um, I don't think Predator's presence in Alien detracts from Alien. I don't think Alien's presence in Predator detracts from the Predator. The only time you'll ever find me arguing that is in Concrete Jungle when the aliens show up. But that's just me being selfish because Predator gets so few titles that are just Predator in the title. Um, I think they work well together. I think they always have. I think it's as long as the creatives actually do it properly and embrace those aspects well, then yeah, I genuinely have no problem with the shared cinematic universe, just as long as they continue to give good they continue to release good quality releases, and we've had that with Prey, we've had that with Romulus. There are things in both that I would have done different if I was doing them, but they are still very fucking enjoyable, still some of the best stuff that we've had overall, not just recently, but overall, and they're very successful.
Yeah, the franchises are in much better positions than they were before those films. That's for sure.
Mm. I'm kind
Well,
of surprised you're not more excited for a potential AVP, I'll be honest.
no, dude, I'm just tired. I'm stoked. I would love another AVP. It's always felt to me like we should at least get 3 movies with that. Um Just from some of the decisions I've seen with, like, some of the other big shared universe franchises like Marvel and Star Wars, I do have some hesitation when I hear the talk of it organically coming
But
together like that.
isn't that
I
quality though? Again, just to come back to that, isn't that because Marvel does not consistently do good stuff? Star Wars does not do consistently good stuff.
No, I mean, I feel like even pre-Endgame, there was a point where almost every Marvel film felt like an Avengers film. And I know maybe it's an unfair comparison, like with all those different characters and worlds compared to just Alien and Predator, right? So it would depend on how it's done if they built up to it. Me personally, though, I would want more of a standalone story that feels like it could work with everything that came before, um, but it's not really tied to it. That's just what I would like, but dude, if we see an alien and predator fight each other on screen again, I'm gonna be so happy, man.
Oh, me
Like
too. Me
like
too.
so yeah,
As
I very much am excited for that possibility.
as long as it's not tied to the old films, I'm happy. As in the first two AVPs. But I feel like the big news has been this secret Predator movie that is coming out,
Yeah,
which,
so sorry, go ahead.
funnily enough, the fucking timing on this. You know, when I woke up in the morning, or whenever you sent me this link to the Hollywood Reporter article, my eyes rolled out of my head. If you watch our streams, you'll know we've teased this previously on the message boards. I was actually teasing this the day before the interview dropped about there being extra stuff coming. Um, and I was gonna actually post. I was actually gonna scoop it on the Friday yesterday, and then this dropped. So yeah, I commented the timing on this fucking thing.
And let it be on the record, I was like, "You better post this on Wednesday," and you were like, "Nah, it'll be fine." And then the day after, all this
Well,
dropped.
I genuinely did not expect anybody to drop this, but whatever. So during the interview, they were talking about the upcoming Badlands, and Steve Aspel dropped that there were two projects in the work. Apparently, Dan Trachtenberg had pitched a load of ideas to them, and Steve was saying, "And we picked two. We've actually done two of these ideas. One was Badlands, of course, which Steve called nuts and described as a science fiction movie, um, which is kind of interesting in its own right. You know, Predator is the Predator franchises. You do a genre, you drop a Predator in it, and that works well. You know, I genuinely think the Predator as a creature, as a story concept, is incredibly flexible, and that's the way it works. So now we're dropping the Predator within a more of a genuine sci-fi context for Badlands. But then a Hollywood Reporter pushed for this information on the second Predator movie that he had mentioned. Aspel didn't really delve into too much detail, any detail. But here's what he said. He said, "There's a second Predator movie that we have different plans for. Dan has actually directed both. There's a secret Predator movie that will come out before the theatrical one, but I can't say anything about it yet." Well, Aspel might not say much about it, but we have, and so is another website which we'll read in a second. Adam, do you want to drop this
Well,
next comment?
he did, specify live action, for
Mm,
one of them, which,
for Badlands, yes.
yeah, would insinuate one of them is not live action, and that is the case. The second Predator film is an animated anthology film, also directed by Dan Trachtenberg. We've known about this one for a little while. We were, as you said, we were thinking about breaking the news, and then all this dropped. Um, but yeah, I mean, really exciting. You know me, I was always hyped up for the EVP anime. So the fact that we are hopefully this time actually getting an animated film in these franchises and one by the director of two Predator movies. I mean, how huge is that? So
Mm,
um, yeah, and it seems like we've confirmed that one of the shorts will focus on feudal Japan. We're not quite sure what the others will be yet, uh, but it's a really exciting premise, I think. I mean, it kinda goes to those,
Well,
anthology books like, Eyes of the Demon and, what was the first one?
um,
If It
if it
Bleeds.
bleeds.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there is potentially a second. We are aware of a second storyline now, thanks to this article from Gizmodo.
Alright.
Have you forgot this
Right,
one?
pirates, right?
Yes. So, in our coverage of the news, we confirmed that it was an animated feature. Um, and that one of the time periods would be pitting the Predator against samurai characters. Um, we have some more information on that. We're not dropping that yet, but we've got some more on the samurai part of it. But then Gizmodo, or slash IO9, whatever they go by these days, dropped their own little article with some information that they'd received. Um, and they said multiple sources told IO9 that the Secret Predator project is in fact an animated feature, corroborating ours. As many speculated, the twists, though, is it's almost an anthology telling three separate stories of predators fighting warriors in multiple eras. One is potentially pirates, um, one is potentially samurai, and there's a third one too. So pirates and fucking samurai. That sounds fucking awesome. Let's be honest. I've said for ages how I'd like to see them explore animated features because it lets them do Predator in particular and AVP. I think would be very suitable for it because it lets them do some very stylized, or it could potentially let them do some very stylized stuff. And I'm really curious to see if they embrace that. You know, because when I think of like a samurai thing, I think of like the watercolors or the Japanese sort of Edo style artwork. That I'd love to see him embrace that kind of experimental approach with it.
Yeah, it does kind of bring the question of, I mean, this whole thing is gonna be directed by Dan Trachtenberg, but if the different eras will be different animation teams or if the animation style will be consistent across the different stories. So that's something I'm particularly curious about.
Mm. But there's very little more else about it now. It's kind of funny. I feel like this one's been a bit of an open secret behind the doors. If immediately, we say, oh, it's an animated thing. Oh, it's got samurai, and then IO9 drop. Oh, yeah, it's also got pirates in it. Um, so I hope they don't take too long releasing some actual information about this thing because I'm really excited for it. I genuinely am, and I hope we don't know if it's theatrical or streaming yet, but we think it's streaming. I think that seems to be what some of the discourse online has been. Um, I really hope it's good, and I really hope it hits because this is something I would really, really like to see them do more of. There were plans before the merger to do a bunch of Alien animated things, some shorts that would then lead into like a big. It was going to be like an Earth War situation at the end of it. They do their own big lead up um, for Aliens. So I'd hope to see Disney get some success with this and do more because again, AVP as an anime, ignore the fucking annihilation that we've got. I know Adam's like it's done, release it, but
What's
that that's
that
m-
impression?
that's my mocking voice. But from everything we've heard about Annihilation, it sounds genuinely shit. And it can stay locked in the vaults as far as I'm concerned.
Watch
Um,
his other movies, nothing he's done has been shit.
I like Starship Troopers. I think it was Appleseed. Did he do something
He
like
did
that?
Appleseed, its sequel, he did Appleseed Alpha, which was kind of a quasi reboot, and that one I really liked.
Well,
But he's
I
done some
like
other animes that were really good.
I like the ones that I've seen as well. But everything that the Western consultants have said about what he was doing sounds rubbish. So I don't want to see the brand damage. I don't want AVP is already a cursed and doubted enough title as it is. So I don't want them to do anything that could tarnish that the reputation anymore. They should have done the original intent, which is just adapt the fucking comics. That's what somebody needs to do is an AVP anime that adapts the comics. Then they can go off and do some exploration of stuff. They have all these bloody storyboards right there and there for them to play with. But yeah, I hope it does well. I want to see more of this format um, done because it feels like we don't get half the goodness that all these other science fiction franchises are enjoying at the minute. I guess they can say what they want about Star Wars stuff, but they get so much content. They've had loads of animated things. They've had loads of live action things. We deserve to eat as much as they do. So fingers crossed this works out well, and I'm really really excited to see more. Is there any other era you'd like to see him tackle other than samurai and pirates? I wouldn't have guessed pirates actually. So,
I
um,
mean, I have wanted to see Predators in the future, but his main movie is already doing that in theaters. I
true.
kind of did like the whole gangster vibe of Concrete Jungle. I think that could
Hmm.
be an interesting era. Um, but yeah, you got me trying to think here.
World War for
Maybe,
me.
yeah, maybe a war, maybe Rome, something
Hmm.
like that. Um,
I'd really love to see them in a World War setting, whether it's World War One, World War Two, or even just some of the modern conflicts. Modern, he says in quotation marks, going back a bit. Something like Iraq, something in the Middle East. I watched. It was many thousands of years ago, but I watched a really crappy, low budget um, sci-fi military horror thing that was set in Iraq, where they were ended up coming against genies, or what do they call them in the East? Jinn, I think was how they set it up. Um, which I think would work well for a predator. The idea of these invisible. And well, there was a comic, wasn't there, that did Iraq where they called the predator a Jinn.
yeah. Mhm.
Hunters 2
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Mhm.
So I'd like to see something, the predator placed into an actual conflict that we've had this last century and a bit. I think that could be interesting. But yeah, that's it for me. That's my big fan wish list.
Well, we will be very busy looking forward to this and covering it all for you next year, especially.
Mm.
Um,
Well, what we got next year? So we've got the release of this, the release of Badlands,
the
hopefully
series,
the series. So
multiple
hopefully,
games in development.
well, we got Rogue's out at the end of this year,
Yeah,
isn't it? Really?
yeah. Well, there's one that's been leaked and we won't talk about. And then we just got an Isolation 2
Oh,
announcement, but that'll be years off.
I keep forgetting that Fighting Two is a thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess we
Um,
will talk about
well, everybody knows about it.
it.
Yeah, so another busy year coming up. Hopefully, lots of good promotion. Hopefully, lots of good releases.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Let's keep up this good momentum. Let's keep up the success of Prey and Romulus, please.
More content
Dan,
for Hunting Grounds as well.
true. So, yeah. How's everybody else out there feeling about it? Any eras that you guys and girls would like to see the Predator tackle? Any hopes for AvP or Romulus too? Let us know in the comments below. And this should be going up today or tomorrow as of recording. We're actually pretty quick with the motion tracker stuff. So if you check in on Monday, I should hopefully have a very big, exciting roundtable retrospective interview with some of the developers of Alien Isolation for the
Man,
10th
did you get that
anniversary.
done already? Jeez.
Yeah, mate,
Fantastic.
I'm already on the retro discussion.
All right.
I just need to put the video together for this one and some final tweaks. But yeah, that should be a podcast episode every single Monday in October. I think I've done pretty fucking well. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
I'm
That
I'm very
new,
impressed with myself.
yeah.
That new tool has really helped me just blast through them, and it helps the quality of the shit that we've done recently. All the interviews that we did with Tim, the interviews that we did with the Utopia guys, that were done with the Alien Romulus folk that we've had on so far. They've all been really good. I've really enjoyed everything we've done recently, so it's helped bang us through them. And we also have in the bag, as well as this retrospective interview for Alien Isolation. We've also got a retrospective discussion, roundtable review. We recorded another Romulus interview recently. We have a bunch more interviews in the pipelines that we just need to get booked in. We've still got a bunch of discussions to do. We're finally going to tackle our AvP end of the year episode because we always do an episode specifically related to AvP at the end of the year. I need confirmation from Eric as to his satisfaction with the story I've picked for us to do, but we'll get that recorded.
I still have never read that all the way through. This will be a
I've read
first
it
time for me.
once. I've read it once. So yeah, it's just a big one. It's a commitment to reading that. That's kind of why I want to get it booked in and sorted now so I can get through it. But yeah, we've got so much shit in the pipeline, and we
Yeah.
also need to
I got a little
record.
feature coming on Monday, so
Oh yes,
yeah.
yes, that is going to be fucking exciting for folk. We can't talk about it yet, but again, check in on Monday for two fucking things, um, both of which are going to be really cool. And for our patrons, we also already have our next topic picked. We just need to pick a fucking evening and get it sorted and out of the way. I'll probably pop on Facebook and we'll confirm that shit after as well, after we're done recording here. But yeah, exciting times. Really good time to be an Alien and Predator fan these last couple of years. We just need Marvel to step the game up now and actually give out some consistently good releases there.
Yeah, they've gotten a little better, and Alien and
Thor
Predator has
and
been pretty solid, but
yeah, Alien's been the weak link. But then again, I've really enjoyed the last couple, apart from this Romulus thing. You know, Thor and Descendant were good. Thor was better, in my opinion.
yeah.
What If was surprisingly entertaining. Black, White, and Blood was surprisingly strong as well. You know, Utopia was fantastic, the main storyline throughout that run. But there was a bunch of other shorts in there that were really good. We should book that one in as well and get that reviewed.
Yeah, I need to read What If and Black, White, and Blood. There's some people that were involved in What If that we're also trying to get on the podcast, so we will see if we can get them on for you.
It depends if you enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did, so we might as
I
well.
it was a fun little excursion. I mean, its whole premise is based on a continuity gaff, but if you get over that, you know, you're fine. It was surprisingly good. But yeah, okay. Should we let folk go?
Yes, we should let me go because I'm tired. I'm going to bed.
Fair. Well, thank you everybody for watching. This has been Corporal Higgs
And Ridgetop.
signing off.